Decision making. Every morning, people make decision about what to wear based on various factors such as the weather, style, comfort, occasion, etc. Then, when eating out, people have to decide what to eat based on their dietary preference, budget, and taste preference. Then, buying product. Then, for students, they have to make a decision about which college, which major or main subject to take, etc. Then for job, marriage, treatments and hospital, many decisions people make in their daily lives, ranging from small and routine to larger and more complex decisions. Before going to the details, please remember to subscribe the channel. Do watch other videos in the channel and share it with students and those who love learning psychology. Thank you. What is decision making? It is the cognitive process of choosing between two or more alternatives, ranging from relatively clear-cut, that is simple, like ordering a meal at a restaurant, to the complex, like getting married. In its simplest sense, decision making is choosing between two or more courses of action. In the broader problem-solving process, the decision-making involves choosing between possible solutions to a problem. The decisions can be made through an intuitive or reasoned process or both of this. Decision-making process. It has various steps. The step-by-step decision-making process help you decide things more deliberately and thoughtfully by organizing relevant information and defining the alternatives. It increases the chances of choosing the most satisfactory option possible. The first step is identify the decision. You realize that you must decide when you are between two or more options, where you do not know what to choose or which should be the best decision. So, first you need to define the nature of the decision you must take clear. This first step is very crucial. For example, the individual needs to purchase a laptop or a desktop. So first he needs to decide the nature, whether to buy the laptop or the desktop for the personal use. So he decide on it. Then comes gather relevant information. This step involves both internal and external work. Some of the data is internal. You will look for it through a self-assessment process. What exactly you need. Then external information, like you will find it online, in books, from other people, etc. In the example, you research various laptop brands, models, features, and prices. Then read online reviews, compare the specifications and check for deals and discounts. Then you ask your friends and family for recommendations and feedback. So that is the first two steps. First, you need to identify what you need and then gather relevant information about that. Then the third step is identify the alternatives. As you gather information, you will likely identify several possible courses of action or alternatives. You can also use your imagination and additional information to build new options. In this step, you will list all the possible and desirable choices. In the example, based on the research, you shortlist few laptop models that meet your requirement and budget. Then you compare the alternatives based on the factors such as processing power, memory, storage, screen size, battery life, and weight. Then next step is weigh the evidence. Use the information and emotions to imagine what it would be like if you carried out each alternative to the end. That is, what will happen if you buy each of the item. Assess whether the need identified in step 1 would be met or resolved using each option. As you go through this complex internal process, you will begin to favor specific alternatives, those that seem to have the most significant potential to achieve your goal. Finally, places the other options in order of priority based on the value system. In the example, you evaluate the pros and cons of each alternative based on your need, your preference, and budget. Then consider factors such as durability, warranty, customer service, and after sales support of each laptop. The fifth step is choose between alternatives. Once you have the 4 steps above ready, you can select the alternative that seems the best for you. You can even choose a combination of other options. In the example, after weighing the evidence, you can choose a laptop that best fits your needs and preferences. Then you can make the final decision based on the factors such as the availability, price, and delivery options. Then sixth step is taking action. You are now ready to take positive action by starting to implement the alternative you choose in the previous step. In the example, you purchase the chosen laptop either online or from a local store. And you also take care of any additional tasks such as configuring the laptop, then settings, then installing the software, then transferring data from old laptop, etc. Finally, you review your decision and its consequences. In this step, consider the decision result and evaluate whether or not you have resolved the need you identified in step 1. If the decision has not met the identified need, you can repeat specific process steps to make a new decision. In the example, you may want to gather more detailed information or something different or explore additional alternatives. Like after using the laptop for some time, you can evaluate your decision and its consequences. Then assess the performance, durability, and usability of the laptop and compare it with the expectations. If the laptop meets your expectation, then you are satisfied with your decision. If not, then consider returning the laptop or seeking technical support. Now let's see several decision-making strategies. First one, the single feature model. This approach involves hinging your decision solely on a single feature. That is, based on just single feature you make decision. Consider the situation of buying a new smartphone. For example, if the decision maker, that is you, values the battery life above all else, then you might choose the smartphone with the longest battery life, even if it is not the best overall option. A person who prioritizes camera quality might choose the latest iPhone because it has the best camera. The single feature approach can be effective in situations where the decision is relatively simple and you are pressed for time. However, it is generally not the best strategy when dealing with more complex decisions. The second is the additive feature model. This method involves taking into account all the important features of the possible choices and then systematically evaluating each option. This approach tends to be a better method when making more complex decisions. For example, if you values battery life, camera quality, and storage space equally, then you might compare several different smartphone models and assign each feature You have specified 3 features important for you. So you assign each feature a mark of 33 or 33%. Then you would give each smartphone a score for each feature and add up the scores to determine which smartphone has the highest overall score. The additive feature, that is you adding the values of the features. This model can be a great way to determine the best opinion for a variety of choices. Then third is the elimination by aspects model. In this approach, you evaluate each option one characteristics at a time, beginning with whatever feature you believe is the most important. When an item fails to meet the criteria you have established, you cross them from the list of options. The list of possible choice gets smaller and smaller as you cross the items. Then you eventually arrive at just one alternative. For example, if you value the camera quality above all else, then you will set a threshold of 12 megapixels for the camera and eliminate any smartphone option that do not meet the threshold, or eliminate the smartphone names that has a camera quality that is less than 12 megapixels. Then you would move on to the next most important feature and repeat the process again until you have identified the smartphone that meets your criteria. So that is elimination by aspects. The previous 3 processes are often used in cases where decisions are pretty straightforward. But what happens when there is a certain amount of risk, ambiguity, or uncertainty involved? When making a decision in such a situation, people tend to employ 2 different decision-making strategies: the availability heuristic and the representativeness heuristic. You know that heuristic is a rule of thumb mental shortcut. It allows people to make decisions and judgments quickly. So heuristics are mental shortcuts. The availability heuristic, it refers to the tendency of the individual to rely on readily available information when making judgments or decisions. This means that the people tend to overestimate the likelihood of events that are more memorable or easier to recall. For example, you are considering whether to take a flight to visit a relative. You recently watched a news about a plane crash, and the vivid images and emotions from the story are still fresh in your mind. As a result, you might overestimate the likelihood of a plane crash and feel anxious about taking the flight. Next is the representativeness of heuristic. It refers to the tendency of individuals to make judgments or decisions based on how closely something resembles a typical example. It means that people may make judgments based on the stereotypes or prior expectations rather than considering all the available information. For example, someone might assume that a person who wears glasses and reads a lot is more likely to be a professor than a truck driver, even though this may not be true. So that is the representativeness heuristic. Now let's have a quick recap on what we have learned. We have learned what is decision making and the 7 steps involved in the decision making process. Then various decision making strategies, which includes the single feature model, the additive feature model, the elimination by aspects model, the availability heuristics, and the representativeness heuristic. Hope you liked this video. Please share and subscribe. Thank you and keep smiling.